But you see, although I rather favour European literature, I mean, I bet you he's had more TV appearances in Britain than Norway. The dreadful Carl Uwe Nausgaard with his My Struggle, which is just so pathetic. I mean, he's just a construction for gusseted, gushing English Radio 4 presenters to get. Anyway, here's the really important thing. You see, now I know when I go inside, I'm going to want to get my laptop out because I'm running low on data. So you see, I've got this wire such that I can pull the laptop out easily without getting into the bag and having to struggle untangling wires. And so this is the most pure Zen that I've been doing for 3 years, whilst you, my viewer, whatever you do and whatever you comment, I couldn't give a shit. I have never looked while you are doing whatever you're doing. Okay, I'm actually struggle, this is the real struggle, to just get thousands of absurdist clips up. The only reason is I'm just using you to keep material alive, and I'm vaguely interested in it. So that it's there if I drop dead, a totally lost, ghostly, only loved human being, my flesh, might actually be relaxed about trying to discover who a father is. She has no idea who he is. Now, and this is who I am, you see. This is who I am. I have my act together so that I don't waste money by damaging cables. I don't waste the environment by damaging cables. And I also beat the system, but that sounds crass, because what it's really about, the system. I mean, and this is all just about what it became like where I used to live, which it shouldn't have become like this. But in 2020, you notice people got so mean. And I mean, they're nearly as rich as the people that live in this particular pocket. Nearly as rich as places like the Roseland Peninsula, where I spent 9 months. The incomers, I mean. But yeah, and the incomers own the cafes. They bought everything, basically. But you go in there, and like, even in like Knighton, I've got a film of like this awful man that has a coffee there. Okay, he's from Birmingham. But it's like, it's such a big deal for you to just sit there and actually plug your laptop in. So fuck them. You've got to be organised. You know, it's like, what does that cost? 2p maybe if you were sat for an hour? I don't know. Probably 1p actually if you were sat for an hour with your laptop plugged in. But the resentment, the absolute snotty meanness that this country became. I mean, it always was, but it got so much worse in 2020. And later on in because in 2021 I became completely right. I've had enough of everything. I'm just going to spend as much time as possible up in the hills, the Knighton racecourse, Knighton is the most scuzzy, horrible place in the world. It looks all right, but but 15 kilometres up into the hills from Knighton, you have a place, 10 acres of common land that nobody goes to, called the Racehorse. It's the best place in the world, nicest way to just get up there and forget about everything. I used to go up there thinking, I'm going to go here for a day, and like just stay there 5 days, but keeping charged up. The meanness, the sourness, the people with nothing better to do than get in your head. And Knighton is a place where people will have come and bought businesses there, and this is as of about 10 years ago, with the express intent, there's a real naughty one to come soon, okay? The woman who's employed has so much council grants to do the nursery. She's a London psychologist, but bought land there with her husband. And 3 years ago, was on the streets drunk and boasting of how she'd been smoking marijuana from 9 o'clock in the morning. And she really was out of her head in front of her 9-year-old kid. Now, she's rich, middle class, so, now I wouldn't, but you behave like that when you're in the bottom third. I mean, they all pretend they're not middle class, but we've come to just live in a yacht on 750 grand of southeastern money with her extremely handsome husband. But it's like, your life is so shallow and ridiculous that after some years of getting the grants to run the nursery schools and the woodland school for kids, you're pissed at, actually, to be fair to her, it was 11:30 in the morning at Knighton Carnival. You're pissed. I knew this woman. What's the point? You don't know them. That's the point. You're pissed and you're telling me how you're stoned because you had a great big joint. What was her name? I can't even remember her name now. At 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're in a public place with the whole town out at Knighton Carnival. This must have been 2021 then. No, 2022. Summer 2022. And you're not even ashamed that you're saying this in front of your daughter, who I sort of know, and she's embarrassed at mum being pissed and really off her head. And this is whilst writing essays on her website about the latest psychology as it pertains, because she's a PhD in psychology from London, as it pertains to children, and her Montessori kind of woodland forest bathing methods with children are just so much better than everybody else's. So she gets the grants, mainly because she's got a look. If the grant givers are male, they're just going to go home and blow a fuse thinking about her. That's called using. Anyway, yes, you've got to be. I don't consider it a struggle. It's all just hilarious. The Hall of Mirrors was pretending that such people really enhanced these little struggling communities. They brought them to life again. Yeah, fucking hell. Fuck off back to London. Her name's come back to me. Which she will have done by now, because the story of the rural areas, as of about 17 or 18 years ago, these people, and it's always the same, and I hate to say this, but he is kind of handsome, has got a job where he's earning quite a lot of money, though they're pretending he's not actually having to commute back to the southeast. And she has got some background in education, or usually kind of academic or something like that, and she sets herself up because she doesn't want to commute back down south. She's probably looking after the kids. I mean, how sexist is that? Yet she sets herself up as some new kind, we are a new kind of being. We are retaining our great knowledge that we've obtained through our London universities, and we're bringing it here subtly and quietly and gently to you little rural people. In the past, the rural people would have got the grants, but no, people like that are so good at getting the grants, and they're con artists. But here's the point. They come in, they literally cause chaos, but nobody will talk about that because they know they've got the grants. In other words, they can be setting up a scheme with some disused council property or whatever, and then they have got the patronage. It's essentially a feudal system, actually. Yeah, they will then hand out like sweeties. Oh, you can be my playgroup facilitator in our woodland whatever and pixie land, these are 40, they're all about 40 to 50, and But here's the thing: always, it's sort of from about 3 to about 5 years later. Of course, they're caught out. Always. Or do they understand their own total fraud? And you see them collapse and then they run away. And they don't before they run away, they don't say, oh, it was nice to know you these few years, just meeting on the street or whatever. It was nice to know you. I realized that I'd become a bit grandiose, couldn't see through what I'd stolen the money to be able to facilitate in your area. And it did cause me to have a mental collapse, or the Prozac ran out, or they got the wrong kind of skunk. So I'm off now, it was great. I hope I've learnt something here. I hope you've learnt something from knowing me. No, they just always collapse. You see them age about 10 years within a few months before they scuttle off, running away, having literally caused chaos. Okay, not usually actually doing anything specifically to damage, other than the women will have always, they'll always, not me, never me, oh no, but they leave it in their wake, kind of the local blokes that they've flirted with and have probably fallen for them. Never me, never me. But yeah, the real chaos is that they've sucked in the cultural capital and the money, actually, usually, that's available in grants, and they've started up their great big social enterprise that everybody's put a bit of energy into, but they're not democratic in the slightest. They don't know how to be democratic. They are literally demigods. Is it demigod or demigods? And they then and then when it fails, as it always does, it's then empty for 3 or 4 years, and they've used up everybody's time, energy, and quite a lot of money too, before they fuck off to Goa, if they've managed to squirrel away enough of their grant in some private bank account somewhere. There we go. That's the reality of the countryside.